Hey, Coach Nate here, and welcome to part 2 of my series on surviving the indoors due to the shelter in place because of the COVID crisis. Now, I'm Coach Nate, and I help decision makers at companies use obstacle course racing as a way to improve their teams, their profits, and their culture by using my 8-step champion method. Now, I've been doing obstacle course racing for about 8 years, and I've been a trainer for about 5. And recently, I moved in more towards the thought leadership space, and I found that a lot of my clients are having to deal with the issues of staying in consistently into routines, especially when we're talking about fitness routines. We're talking about establishing that regimen and establishing that normalcy. Now that we've had that taken away from us with the COVID crisis, I want to just address the second part of my series on kind of surviving the indoors. So yesterday we talked about establishing routines and kind of regimenting, right? One of the biggest things that we can do is making sure we have a consistent evening and nighttime routine. Specifically within those time frames, I'm talking about getting up at a consistent time and then going to bed at the same time. Now, we're usually really good about getting up at the right time because, we have alarm clocks, we have features for that, but we're really horrible at going to bed at a consistent time. That kind of carries over, affects our sleep, our recovery, and it disjoints a lot of our schedule and throws off that normalcy. So we want to have those routines set in place, but also, in addition to that, what's going to be more important now is adding on some level of journaling and some meditative practice. We're going to have to deal with a lot of internal monkey chatter and a lot of negativity and a lot of just all sorts of uncertainty thrown our way. Now, how we decide to respond to that, what we decide to focus on, what we create meaning and really give the most amount of weight emotionally is going to really dictate how we're going to feel in a situation and dictate how we're going to respond to it. So we need to make sure that we're focused. We know where we're going with things. We know how we want to respond, the feelings that we want to have. And that only comes from being clear on how you want to show up and who you want to be in that situation. You can only do that by getting rid of all of those other thoughts that are thrown onto us from society, from the news, from other people's opinions, and get back to what we believe, how we want to show up for our friends, our family, our loved ones, and those in our community. The next part 2 here, is going to be making sure that you're on a healthy exercise routine. What I'd recommend is exercising at least 4 times a week. That's going to give you at least a little bit of time to fall back into a good routine and just have enough of that consistency in your schedule. If you can do it 6 times a week, that would be way more beneficial. Just have 1 rest day. That's going to give you that consistency throughout the week and kind of be that way to just reset things, get out of your head and get more in your body and just mix things up. One of the other components here is nutrition, right? We need to make sure that we're intentionally eating, making sure that we're eating smaller portions now, but still getting the right portions of what we need to get. What I'd recommend here is using kind of portion control containers. These are really great ways to actually figure out what you should be eating. Like, a series of vegetables, you might, 1 serving of vegetables, you might have too many or you might have too many carbs. Just understanding okay, whatever fits in this little container, that's what I should be eating. And that's going to allow me to also figure out how long things are going to last. So, this is roughly about your carb intake should be just 1 single serving of carbs. That's going to be your fruits. And I'll link where to find this as well in the description below. That's going to at least give you a framework for what a healthy plate of food looks like, but just know you want to be eating intentionally and not eating whatever you find in the pantry from, years ago. You need to have a little bit of structure, again, creating that a routine and making sure that you know how long your food's going to last, and that's going to allow this time frame to go by in a little bit more structured way. Lastly, recovery. That's going to be the last point here, making sure that you're recovering properly from your workouts, recovering properly from the mindset component of just being thrust into a isolated environment, and then also just getting sleep, making sure that you're going to bed at the right time so that you can function properly. We're talking about 7 to 9 hours of sleep in a given night if you can. Just plan that into your schedule. Make sure that you have that as part of your routine. That's really going to allow you that recovery element and just reset things so that you're not frazzled. The less sleep that you get, the more likely you're going to be anxious, and the more likely you're going to be making rash decisions and impulse decisions because you're not thinking properly. So keep that in mind if you're not getting proper sleep. Now, those are just kind of some basics. I'm going to link a lot of these resources below. For the exercise and nutrition components, I've been in the industry for about 5 years now. I've been working with a lot of clients who've had a lot of really amazing results. I'm going to waive my consulting fee for the 2-week period here because of this crisis, and we can jump on a call for 30 minutes and figure out what's a good program for you, figure out where you're at and what you want to achieve, and get you going into that structure. Eventually, I'll be developing in the next few weeks a 14-day program just to reestablish routine and regiment into your day. And I want to make sure that that gets rolled out and you guys can access that coming up. So be on the lookout for that. Drop a comment down below. Let me know that you're in, and then we can schedule a follow-up call for your exercise and nutrition components. I'll have a survey at the bottom, so make sure you drop into the comment section, fill out that form, and we'll get on a call. So that, again, is part 2 of the indoor survival guide. We're into our 2nd day of our shelter in place, and tomorrow we'll get into a little bit more of that next phase that we talked about, really making sure that we're winning that mental game on day 3. All right, see you then.